Hi there, it's your second favorite DP right here, okay? No, that's Deadpool, you silly little Hufflepuff. Anyways, I'm gonna need you to shut up that pretty little mouth of yours and pay attention because the show's about to start, alright? And, I don't know about you, but I know who's my vote for sexiest ex-soldier turned pop culture show host. Alright, enough foreplay, let's get on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome one and all to Pop Culture War. Today is December 2nd, 2025. This is episode 224 of Pop Culture Warrior, the show where I stay up to date on all the ins and outs of what's happening in pop culture so you don't have to. I am, of course, CQ. I'm the guy. All right. And this is normally where I'd say, and joining me tonight. There's no one joining me tonight. It's just us. It's just you and me. How lucky are you? It's just us, man. We're just gonna kick it for a little bit. Mad Mike, God bless him. I hope he's okay. Is somewhere in Mexico doing things that Mad Mike does. So we wish him well. Godspeed. Don't drink the water. And come back safe. Please. We miss you. What's up, everybody? How you doing? Let me Mad Mike's such a flake. Yes. He's too busy gallivanting around the world. What was it? A couple weeks ago, he was in Alaska. Now he's in New Mexico. I mean, my God, guy's a frequent flyer. He was in Disney, I think, last weekend, something like that. Anyway, so everybody out there, if you can hear the sound of my voice, say hi. Let me know you're watching. Tell me something. Tell me something. I don't know. Where you at? What you doing? How was your Thanksgiving? How was your Thanksgiving? Did you have a good Thanksgiving? Are you thankful? Get the light out of my shade out of my eye. Got a couple things we can talk about, but really, I'm kind of feeling like there's open dialogue tonight, open chat. I will say we're going to be joined in the second half of the show by the director and star of the movie Tallywacker, which is this great, it reminds me so much of like Clerks. It's like a black and white indie comedy. Really, really well done. Looking forward to that conversation with Brendan and I believe it's Jeremy. That's going to be a lot of fun. So tune in for that. Mad Mike pours his milk before his cereal. Yeah, he probably does. He's weird like that. But anyway, so tell me what you guys want to talk about, because I want to hear what's on your minds. What's on your pop culture minds this Tuesday? But tell me, let me know. How was your Thanksgiving? Mine was uneventful in a positive way, in a good way. Just uneventful. It was just simple, quiet, chill. Oh man, I have not been sleeping well. I'll tell you that much. Tom says, started off shaky where I was in for travels, but season 5 of Stranger Things made up for it. Stranger Things. I watched the first season of Stranger Things, and I enjoyed it. For the most part. I liked that it was a little nostalgia baity, which I kind of liked, and I started season 2, and honestly, just put it down and never picked it back up. I didn't enjoy it. I don't get the appeal. I'm sorry. I know that's like in the world of nerddom, that's yeah, that's practically unheard of for somebody not to like Stranger Things, but Jesus Christ. I don't know, man. I think it's overrated. I don't know. It didn't connect with me. Sorry guys. I'm sorry. I feel like I've let you down. What else we got going on? Anubis says, how about some movie TV confirmations? Yeah, a lot has been popping up lately. I got a couple stories, but I just wanted to have an open dialogue before we dive into anything, really. You're a Stranger Thing. I am a Stranger Thing. Absolutely. See, Joel has never watched it. See? So, I mean, I've seen this first season, but I don't get the appeal, to be honest. I really like it was a fine show. Uh it was a fine show. I just this like worldwide phenomenon kind of thing. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Ooh, man. I'm sorry. I'm gonna really try to stop yawning. It's one of those days. I've slept all of like 3 hours, 4 hours over the last like 3 nights. So I'm a little loopy. And I've had 2 energy drinks to get me going for tonight. So they'll kick in, I'm sure, soon enough. Um, Night Finger Stranger. You're funny. You guys are funny. All right. So here's a couple of news stories I got for you. Let's start off with the one that Anubis is talking about. So the director behind half of the Fast and Furious franchise, a guy named Justin Lin. I think he did like the last half of them. I think he took over with, was it, oh God, I forget which one it was. The Fate of the Fast or some shit like that. Anyway, like the last half of the franchise, he took over as director. He is set to direct Sony's Helldivers video game adaptation. How do we feel about that? Because obviously he's no stranger to big budget action. He's got that going for him. When you look at something like the Fast franchise, obviously it's not exactly peak cinema. It's a bit formulaic. Again, this is coming from a guy who likes Marvel movies, so take it with a grain of salt. It's a bit formulaic. It's a bit, I mean, every bad guy becomes a good guy and works for the good guys. There's a misunderstood bad guy. They do something that breaks all the laws of physics and science and believability. So does that translate to Helldivers? I mean, it kind of like if he directed Helldivers, the movie, like literally, just take the Fast franchise and swap out cars for like an alien covered planet. And I think that's a decent Helldivers movie. It's just guys running and gunning, doing crazy stuff. It's just now instead of driving cars up walls, they're eliminating an alien, whatever. Hi, Alyssa. Scott, what are we talking about? Helldiver movie? Yeah, man. The director of the Fast and Furious movies, Justin Lin, is tapped to direct. Let's look at this. What does it say here? The director behind half of the Fast and Furious franchise is set to tackle Helldivers based on Arrowhead Game Studios' hugely popular video game franchise. Gary Dauberman, the screenwriter of It, wrote the script for Helldivers. Interesting. I'm not gonna do that. Whatever. Helldivers 2, the sequel, sold more than 12 million units across PS5 and PC in the first 4 months after its launch in 2024. How is it that we can get a Helldivers movie a year after the release of the game, and yet we can't get a Metal Gear movie, a Splinter Cell movie? What else? What other really good? I was gonna say not the Last of Us, Uncharted, but that was they did that. It was just bad. Anyway, Joel says I actually gave up on Hollywood a long time ago. Mostly garbage. So sad. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Ton says wouldn't be too bad. I think. Wonder what the plot would be though. Yeah, I mean. This guy says we don't need Helldiver movie when we have Starship Troopers. It's fair. That's fair. There's a symmetry, a parallel, if you will, between those movies, or between what would be the Helldivers movie and Starship Troopers. I think if you took Starship Troopers and merged it with kind of like the Terminator, maybe sprinkle in there, I think that's a Helldivers movie. Hey, a dash of Fast and Furious. Tim, I'm gray. It's the lights. I'm not that gray. No, yeah, hey man, I'm getting old. Getting too old for this shit. Thank you for noticing. I'm in the ugly beard phase. Like, you either look good without a beard or with like a big beard, but I'm in that weird, ugly beard phase. By the time we get back from the winter break, it'll be nice and thick. That's what she said. Let's see. The question is, will the Helldivers movie be about the family? Probably. So that's the Helldivers update. I don't know. I like to think it could work, but Hollywood has a track record of taking some really good prospects and then making them terrible. Mousa, good evening to you, sir. Because this will probably be a shit show. Those other titles, if done wrong, would cause people to burn the world. Fair. In other news, we got here. DC showed the first trailer for the Green Lantern TV show. The first trailer for DC's new Lantern series has been shared with a select group. It was during a private screening. The footage reveals a surprising Hal Jordan twist. The James Gunn DC universe has already debuted a Green Lantern, obviously with Nathan Fillion playing Guy Gardner in Superman, as well as Peacemaker. While he will return in the franchise Green Lantern series, he's not going to be its star. Instead, the cast of DC's Lanterns is led by Aaron Pierre, who plays John Stewart, and Kyle Chandler, who plays Hal Jordan. The show has been described as having a similar tone to True Detective, with the legendary Green Lantern Hal Jordan investigating a mystery on Earth alongside the new recruit, John Stewart. According to a source, the first trailer for DC's Lantern was screened at an HBO Max upfront event in Sao Paulo, Brazil on Tuesday, November 25th. While the trailer was not released online, it was shared what happens in the footage. Hal and John have been training together for months, but Jordan is his substitute teacher, though who he's filling in for is never revealed. It does not reveal John and Hal's superhero suits in the footage. Instead, the footage focuses on the Western tone of the DC series, which includes rural areas of the United States and a brownish color palette. That said, Hal Jordan can be briefly seen flying in the Lantern's teaser. A squirrel Green Lantern, probably chipped, is mentioned as well. I don't know. What do we think? I mean, I think it could work. The problem, and this is I think something me and Mad Mike talked about not too long ago. The problem with the Green Lantern stuff is that it's so CGI reliant. It's so CGI heavy because, I mean, how do you practically shoot a glowing ball of energy, or he makes a thing. I don't know. It works in the comics. It works in the cartoons. It obviously didn't work in the Ryan Reynolds DC Green Lantern movie. And in Superman, we do see, obviously, Guy Gardner's Green Lantern. And even in that, which is a huge blockbuster, Superman movie, I don't think it looked good. Obviously the scenes of him just walking around or doing whatever is fine, but the minute we start seeing like, all the what they call them at astral projections or whatever the fuck they are, it just it doesn't look real. But maybe that's it. In real life, what would green energy fields look like? And it's like, how do you make that look real? I don't know. Scott says, I don't think there's anything wrong with CGI. The problem is that it's expensive and we usually see cheap CGI and not good CGI. That's the thing. Say what you will, but the CGI, Nathan filling in a bowl cut didn't look good. He looked amazing. The CGI that really stands out is stuff that are for movies and things that were heavily worked. So things like Avatar, it took 10 years, 15 years, whatever it is to develop, and you get good CGI. I don't know how you get that quality of CGI for a TV show, right? How does Lanterns as a TV show get the kind of quality CGI that the $100 million, $200 million, $300 million movies get? It just doesn't happen. So I don't know. What happened to the good old days of hand-drawn animation? Never watched it, not once, Frank. Which one? Never watched what? The Superman movie, maybe? I can't. There's a delay in the chats, so you gotta specify. It could very much start off good and then go to shite, probably. Dreamweaver on X says, I missed the playoffs by one spot. It's a bummer, man. I can't feel bad for you. If you're talking fantasy, I've had the worst fantasy season I've ever had since playing fantasy sports for 15 plus years. This is literally the worst season I've ever had. And then just in reality, I'm a Giants fan, so we're eliminated from the playoffs week 7. So I feel what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Anyway. So yeah. So that's the Green Lanterns. I want it to be good. I really do. I really, really do. I want that to be good. I want the DC universe to be good. I want everything, will it? I don't know. Time will tell. And but man, I'd love it if the DC universe really got cooking and we're getting quality. Because my theory is what made Marvel movies so good was the competition of really good movies like the Dark Knight trilogy and some of this other stuff. And then they were so good that they kind of got complacent and just kind of cookie cuttered for a bit because there was no competition. So I feel like if James Gunn's DC universe brings the heat, brings the fire, that's going to raise the level of competition. I feel like Marvel's fallen into the iPhone category of just release it again, without rocking the boat. You know what I mean? So I hope DC's universe comes out swinging. I hope it changes the game and raises the bar, and then maybe Marvel will kick it up a notch as well. So competition, man, it's a good thing. Hey, Spartan HQ Network in the building. What's up, my man? What are we talking about tonight? Man, whatever the funge, I feel like it. It's one of those nights, man. It's one of those nights. Tom says a Tim Drake movie. Tim Drake movie. I guess it depends. I was never a big Tim Drake fan. It depends the story. It depends the story. Hi, Jenny. Hi. Waving back at you. For Tim Drake, I think it depends on the story. I definitely think there's a compelling, you could make a compelling movie about Robin going into being Nightwing, right? So the original Robin, getting to a point where he's like, I'm too old to be the boy wonder and I want to be out of the shadow of Batman. And he goes to Bloodhaven and becomes Nightwing. I feel like there's a really cool way that you could tell that story. Very much like a Batman Year One, but it's Robin. Tim Drake, on the other hand, I don't think, because okay, so Jason Todd, as short-lived as he was at Robin, really left an indelible mark. He left, a legacy of getting killed by Joker and then being revived and becoming the Red Hood. So there is some interest there. But Tim Drake, I mean, he was just always kind of a safe, I don't know. I don't know what's the Tim Drake story that would make for a good movie. I think the Jason Todd stuff, Under the Red Hood has been an animated movie. I think that could be a good live action. Like I said, the Nightwing stuff, the switch from Robin to Nightwing, Dick Grayson going out on his own. Even Damian Wayne for the newer generation. Man, I still say they should do a Batman Beyond story and make it an Elseworld story. Make it it doesn't have to be connected to the main franchise, but just a really cool techno futuristic, I mean, you could really mix it up too, because you could have the really old Bruce Wayne, but you could also introduce where's Dick Grayson? Where's, Tim Drake? Where's obviously Barbara Gordon becomes police commissioner. You could do the one girl Robin everyone forgets about. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but that was technically, that's in the Dark Knight Returns storyline, which is like a futuristic hellscape kind of so it's not really in the typical timeline for Batman. That's kind of a future story. Do you think Gunn would do Teen Titans? Good night. Do I think Gunn would do Teen Titans? I don't think James Gunn is interested in doing a Teen Titans movie. It seems to me that he's really, based on kind of the map that he's laid out, he's interested in more of the secondary characters, tertiary characters, side characters than he is in the big three: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Because if you notice, he's done. You had to start with Superman, right, as the first big movie of the universe. But outside of that, we're getting Supergirl or Superwoman, whatever they changed the title to, and there is a Batman movie down the line, but we're getting a bunch of other stuff before we're getting into that. I don't know, man. Because he wants to, he did Creature Commandos, and he's talked about I forget some of the other ones that he wanted to do, but I don't know. Polka Dot Man, yes, exactly. Yeah, he definitely seems to want to do things that haven't been done as much. Turning the Lanterns into a cop show series kind of thing is interesting. Which I mean, they're Galactic Police, so that kind of makes sense. I don't know. I'm trying to imagine what a James Gunn Teen Titans would look like. Because I mean, we've seen the very campy version, obviously with the cartoons and the animated series. We've seen the gritty kind of street version that was put out on HBO Max, the Titans series, which wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad at all. This guy says, I think he could because the animated show is basically his style, anyways, making any serious situation riddled with jokes to where it's not too serious or dark. Yeah, I don't know. One thing I'm really excited about, believe it or not, James Gunn has said that, like, although this is one universe, that each story is not necessarily it's not part of like this grand narrative. Like there will be some movies that are more connected and some series that are more connected and some that are not. But also that there's not going to be one style. Say what you will about the Marvel universe, but it really leaned into comedic, kind of almost like golden age, the heroes. There wasn't a lot of harder themes or different things, or genre wise, it wasn't very different from one another. Stylistically, they all kind of fell in line with each other. Some more funny, some less funny, but more or less they were all kind of in the same realm, where he's gone on record saying like, hey, we might make a horror movie that's in the DC universe. We might make a mystery movie that's in the DC universe. We might make, whatever, a love story that's in the DC universe, which I like that. I like that. Give some variance, give some different looks at what this could be, making the Lantern series more of that, detective show. Creature Commandos obviously being more of like the monsters and the horrors and the kind of things. And I don't know. And there's still, I mean, they have so many projects that are off the beaten path, right? Because there is the Batman standalone stuff. They had the Joker standalone stuff. They're working on a Clayface project, which I don't believe is connected to either the Matt Reeves stuff or this DC universe, which is interesting. So I'm not sure how that's shaping into all this. I don't know. We'll see. I think only time will tell. I think in 17 Signs he would probably do a Young Justice series. Yeah, a Young Justice series could work. I'm curious to see how long he's going to take the gag of Justice Gang, because he really doesn't want to use Justice League. Really doesn't want to use Justice League. So I'm curious to see how far he takes that Justice Gang gag. You think Kingdom Come would be endgame for the universe? I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you could go with it, because you could go Flashpoint Paradox kind of style. You could go Kingdom Come. You could go Crisis on Infinite Earths. They've all more or less have been done in some form or fashion, right? Either the CW series or the Flash movies or the Justice League movies. They've all kind of been danced around. I don't know, man. I think based on what we've seen so far, that James Gunn wants to forge his own path. Not the Superman movie, not what we've seen so far with the Supergirl movie or the Creature Commanders or Peacemaker, really follows a storyline directly pulled from the comics, right? It's influenced by a lot of stuff, but unlike Marvel, who's like, this is Captain America's Civil War, and you're like, it has nothing to do like what Civil War was about. Or you have what was the other one? Infinity War, which is like straight from the comics, but it had nothing, there's a couple beats from the comic, but really had nothing to do with the comics. So I think he's of the mind, and he's going in the direction of, I'm going to take from the stories, I'm going to take from the characters, I'm going to take from the origins and the different plot points, and just weave my own narrative. And it seems like that's his plan going forward, is to not do a straight adaptation, which I think makes sense. There's so many stories. And no matter how good you make a movie, it's never going to be something that the fans are going to go like, that was a great adaptation of that storyline. It just never is. It never is. I'm trying to think of one of the Marvel movies where you're like, that was such a great pull directly from the source material. It's always a version of, or I don't know. Yeah, I think his best bet is kind of forging his own path and telling his own stories, just using the characters that we all know and love. All right. So in some other news, we're talking about other things that have been announced. In this one, we finally got some information about the upcoming Amazon series God of War adaptation. The latest is that it has already received a multi-season order. Now, for those that don't know what that means, most shows, they get pitched, and then if it goes through that process, they'll do a pilot. They'll literally shoot one episode, not even to air it, just to see how it works. And then if the pilot is liked, they shoot a season of the show, sometimes using the pilot as the first episode, sometimes scrapping it completely and starting over. And then if the series is liked, season 1, then they would get greenlit for a season 2, etc. It is rare where a show not only gets picked up without a pilot, but gets a multi-season order. Now, what it has going for it, and why I think it works in this situation, is A, God of War is a hugely popular franchise. You're not a gamer if you're like, God of War, what's that? Like, you don't have to have a PlayStation to know what God of War is. Like, if you've played games in the last 20 years, you know what God of War is. So that's going for it. And then the director that's attached to it is the same guy who's helmed the FX series Shogun, which, if you know about that show, has won like a bajillion awards for cinematography and storytelling and all these different things. So you say hugely popular IP with a distributor who's been killing it in adaptations in Amazon, with a proven director, an award-winning director. I mean, it makes sense that they're going to go, let's lock this in. Let's lock this up and move it along. So the story goes, Amazon's God of War adaptation gets an official multi-season order, adds Shogun director, and is now in pre-production. Prime Video series adaptation of the PlayStation video game was originally announced in 2022, but underwent a creative overhaul last fall with the addition of Ronald D. Moore as showrunner, writer, and executive producer. Now, according to Deadline, God of War has officially received a 2-season order from Prime Video and brought on another major creative figure, director Frederick E.O. Toyi, to helm the first 2 episodes. Additionally, pre-production is currently underway in Vancouver, and the casting process has begun, starting with the 2 lead roles of Kratos and Atreus. Amazon's God of War show was accelerated after Moore joined as the new showrunner, and earlier this year, Prime Video quietly expanded the order to 2 seasons. For a series of this scale, that move is fairly typical when a platform is confident in the creative direction, since large world-building expenses like product design, sets, costume, and props are more cost-effective when spread across multiple seasons. So, Scott says the only way it works is if it sticks to the lore or if it doesn't focus around Kratos. Let me think of this for a second. Very much the way okay, because we're talking Amazon Prime series. The Last of Us HBO series stuck fairly close to the source material. A couple little tidbits here and there they changed, but fairly close to the source material. It was very beloved by fans. Fallout, although not following a particular game, stayed entrenched in the lore and entrenched in the stylistic representation of that world. Fans loved it. Invincible, although an animated series on Amazon Prime, follows about as closely as they could to the source material. Fans love it. So, like, if we're getting a theme, a common denominator is stay true to the source material. It works. It's beloved for a reason. You have a blueprint. Follow that blueprint more often than not. If the series goes too far astray, you know, I look at the Halo series. While it was good, it felt completely disconnected from what the video games were. Lasted 2 seasons. What other ones? Uncharted was as night and day from the video game as humanly possible, other than the names of characters and kind of the one scene where he's kind of falling out the airplane. They kind of pulled that from the game. But outside of that, it in name alone is what it shared. Can it work sometimes? I mean, maybe the Tomb Raider movies with Angelina Jolie, you know, they didn't really follow the game and it kind of worked. Or like the Mortal Kombat movie, but everybody, I don't know. I guess for movies, it's harder to stay true to the source material because of how much there is. But when you're doing a series, it should be, in theory, much easier in regards to pacing and length. It should be easier to stay true to the source material, I would think. Spartan HQ says he'll grow out his beard so he can be in the show. Hey man, they're casting. They're looking. You could be Kratos. You could be Kratos. In other news, Netflix has offered Warner Brothers a massive cash bid to buy the studio. Netflix is one step closer to buying Warner Brothers after offering a sizable cash bid to purchase the studio. This comes after Warner Brothers was officially put up for sale in October. As the parent company of HBO, CNN, and many other fixtures within film and television, the final results of this sale have significant implications for the entertainment industry. So according to Bloomberg, Warner Brothers received the mostly cash offer, that's crazy, from Netflix as part of a second round of bids beginning on the Monday after Thanksgiving. Netflix's bridge loan is worth tens of billions of dollars. Other sources close to the discussion taking place indicate that the auction may conclude within the next few days or weeks. Netflix was not the only one whose bankers worked during the extended Thanksgiving weekend to put together an offer for Warner Brothers. Bankers from Paramount, Skydance, and Comcast also worked on improving their bids to acquire all or part of Warner Brothers as they compete with Netflix. Since the offers are considered to be binding, a deal could be signed swiftly by the board if all goals are met. That being said, more bids could still come since the latest offers, including Netflix, made mostly in cash, are not considered final yet. When Warner Brothers was put up for sale in October, Paramount, which is now under the leadership of David Elson, provided 3 offers to buy the entirety of the company, with the cable TV networks being a significant piece of what would be acquired. Netflix and Comcast do not want the entirety of Warner Brothers, and they specifically want Warner Brothers Studios and HBO streaming service HBO Max. If the offers for Netflix or Comcast are accepted, Warner Brothers will proceed with their plan to make the cable channels part of Discovery Global. Hmm. I'm trying to imagine, what would that mean? What will that mean for... So if Netflix bought Warner Brothers, then they effectively own HBO, which HBO Max is a competing streaming service. So do they diversify and say, hey, we're keeping HBO open and separate? Or do they pull it all in-house and just say, now if you want to watch any HBO programming, you'll have to come to Netflix? I don't know. I don't know which side of that is better. The problem, the way I see it, all these companies buying up each other, you'd think makes them these massive companies, but they end up turning around and selling themselves to someone else. So I just, I don't know. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good. Yeah, I know it says essentially whoever buys Warner would topple the streaming services. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know who I want to win in this fight, because whoever wins is just going to jack up their prices to cover the debt, right? Like, we are the ones that suffer. We, the viewing public, we're the ones who suffer. You know, you say what you want about, like, oh, I don't want to have 6 different streaming services. Hey, at least you have choices, right? You can compete for pricing. You can compete for programming. Once it's all gobbled up and the at the end of the day, when it's like Disney, who owns a third of Hollywood, Netflix, who owns another third of Hollywood, and then Apple, let's say, owns the other third, you're just going to have those 3 companies setting higher and higher prices to cover the acquisition cost of all these companies. So they get richer and we foot the bill. I mean, that's essentially what it is, right? Their company gets more profitable. They jack up the prices, and we foot the bill. And they can buy more stuff, right? I love these companies that are like, oh my God, it's so hard and we're losing subscribers. Like, bitch, all these companies have multi-billion-dollar profit years. As hard as the economy, and I mean, we're not going to get into the whole politics of it, and I don't want to bring everybody down, but as far as the economy goes, and we're all feeling the pinch, and we're all feeling the inflation and the tariffs and all these things, and it's hurting our wallets, why are these major corporations having record years, record-breaking, multi-billion-dollar profit years? Not just what they made, the profit, the pure profit in the hundreds of billions. And, you know, doing the woe is me, I'm sorry, we have to jack up the prices, you know, we're all feeling the hurt. Yeah, whatever. Oh man, it reminds me of, like, I remember living in New York, and, you know, they would go, you know, the gas prices are going up, so we're gonna have to charge higher for the fares, like the bus fares and the train fares and whatever. And they would love to jack up the prices when gas went up, but then the minute gas tanked, shocker, those bus prices stayed the same. And then the next time gas prices went up, the bus fare went up. And then when gas went down, those prices stayed the same. And it's just a repeated cycle of we're forced to charge you more money, yet the prices never go down. Never go down. Weird how that works, isn't it? Sports Bar, what do you hear? What do you say? Cable companies are now offering multi-streaming services as part of their subscription. In the end, every corporation makes hand over fist in profits while their consumer services loses money on its own balance sheets. Yes, exactly. Scott says, record-breaking year. 1 week later, massive layoffs. 1 month later, prices go up. 1 month later, we are investing in AI. Right? Isn't that weird how that works? Isn't that weird? Like, we don't have the money. We have to make these layoffs. Really? Oh, we got to raise prices. Really? We're investing $500 billion into AI. Nah. Starting to add up. Anyway, I'm going to get off my high horse now. Oh, man. You can tell when CQ's in a cranky mood. Everything's horrible. Hello from Australia. Sydney, Australia. Good day. Wait, is it hello or is it good day? Sorry. I apologize. I've had energy drinks. Hey, Mary Ann Young. Appreciate you for popping in all the way from down under. How's Bluey doing? I love me some Bluey. In other news, Netflix, speaking of the devil, Netflix is developing a Berserker. For those that don't know what Berserker is, spelled Brzrki. Berserker. It's the Keanu Reeves comic book. Basically, he got together with a team, and it's a story. Think like John Wick, but he's immortal. He's like one of the first men, apparently, and he was just immortal, and has lived through these centuries and centuries, and I guess at some point he's lost his memory, and he's just become this kind of killing machine, and like the government uses him for wet work, and because they keep and the funny thing of it is like he's like, all I want is to die. All I want is to die. And so he's working with the government because they promise, hey, if you work with us, we'll figure out how to kill you. So he's like, fuck it, I guess I'll just work for you guys then. So it's a decent graphic novel. Obviously, the main character looks exactly like Keanu Reeves. Shocker. And so Netflix is developing a movie. Because God forbid they'd want to make a series. They're going to develop a movie based on the comic series. And of course, Keanu Reeves is set to star as the immortal warrior known as Berserker. I think there is a trend of, I don't know how freely I can speak here. I had a lovely conversation, which hopefully will be edited and released sooner than later, with Ronda Rousey, of all people, at New York Comic Con. A grittier Constantine, kind of, yeah. I spoke with Ronda Rousey at New York Comic Con because she wrote a comic book. And she's it's not some cash grab. I'll say that first and foremost. We had a really good conversation, and this is something she's worked on for a long time. It was actually a screenplay that she had written and produced to be a movie or TV series or something like that. And we talked about how difficult it is to make something come to life in Hollywood. And ultimately she decided, well, if I really want the story to come out, which she did, because she really loved it, the best avenue would be a graphic novel. And she got a partner and got it published and everything. I don't want to say it's a backdoor pilot, basically, of like, this is to prove that the story could work so that it could be optioned for a movie or TV series. But there's been some success in that realm, right? We've seen a big push: The Walking Dead, Invincible, The Boys, Watchmen, Berserker now. Like, obviously, all the Marvel movies, all the, DC movies, these are all coming from comic books. So I think the theory, at least, is if we can make a successful comic book, the odds of us being able to get that green lit and bought and distributed by a big, partner, Paramount and HBO and Netflix, whatever, I I kind of get it. I get it, right? Because Hollywood is, in essence, afraid to spend money on anything that's not a damn near guarantee. So, producing a comic book like Berserker or like what Ronda Rousey's producing, if it can be a hit, if it could, really challenge the status quo in these things, then absolutely there's a higher than likelihood chance that it would sell, and it would basically, make the kind of investment easier to say, yeah, we'll invest in this project because there's a return back from it, right? There's a return back. So, Captain Wade says it's beginning to feel a lot like F this everywhere I go. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you on that one. That one, that absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so Berserker looks like it's gonna really, it's gonna be a thing. It's gonna come to life. Keanu Reeves is set to star in it. I mean, all told, it's gonna be successful. It's gonna be successful. However, if people put the money and time into it, it will be successful. I see my guests are joining, but we got a couple more minutes before we go to break. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. I feel there. I don't know. There are times when I'm optimistic about the the way things are and how things are kind of shaping up, and we're trending in a good direction. But then it's really hard sometimes because of you know the reality of it, right? The we've seen, we've seen how things are kind of coming together. So I don't know. It's one of those things. All right. With that, is it night there? Yes. Yes, Marianne. It is night here. It is about to be 9 p.m. Eastern on the East Coast of America. America, the land of freedom. Oh, God. Anyway. All right, guys. We're going to toss to a short break. When I come back, and I implore you, I heavily implore you, stick around, because we have two incredible people joining us. We have the director and the star of the movie, the indie darling film, Tallywacker. It is a raunchy, it reminds me so much of like the original Clerks. It's this real talk, raunchy, messy look at life, at being disabled, what friendship means, and all these different things. It's phenomenal. I watched it. I loved it. We're going to talk to these guys and talk all about the movie. So stick around. And when we come back, we'll have the guys from And American soldier. That's great. That's great. I love that. Stick around, Mary. I appreciate you. When we get back, we'll have the folks of Tallywacker. All right, we'll be right back with a quick word right after this.
Hey, you there? Yeah, it is right, you. Let me ask you something, alright? Where the hell do you think that you're going? Oh, what do you think because the show is going to commercial that means you get to just walk away? Well, CQ asked me to pass on the little message, alright? And it says, I'll be back.
There's a voice that breaks the night. It's a CQ with the insight. From the comics to the silver screens, talking legends and those crazy scenes. Pop culture trends and hidden themes. CQ reveals what it all means. From the comics to the silver screens, talking legends and those crazy scenes. Pop culture trends and hidden themes. CQ reveals what it all means. Pop culture warrior here to ignite, guiding through the tales of light. With CQ leading the charts so bright, we're ready for another flight. Pop culture warrior here to ignite, guiding through the tales of light. With CQ leading the charts so bright, we're ready for another flight. At the twists and turns, villains play and heroes learn. Every episode we'll discern lessons from the past to learn. Games we play and books we read, CQ's wisdom's what we need. Memories that make us bleed, together we will take the lead. Pop culture warrior here to ignite, guiding through the tales of light. With CQ leading the charts so bright, we're ready for another fight. Pop culture warrior here to ignite, guiding through the tales of light. With CQ leading the charge so bright, we're ready for another fight. So bright, we're ready for another flight. Pop culture warrior here to ignite, guiding through the tales of light. With CQ leading the charge so bright, we're ready for another flight.
Hi there. You're watching Pop Culture Warrior. This is the way.
Hey, everybody! Welcome back to Pop Culture Warrior. I am, of course, your host, CQ, and tonight we've got not one, but two of the mad geniuses in the house, the creative tag team behind the indie comedy fever dream, Tallywacker. We've got director, writer, and all-around storyteller, troublemaker Brendan Boogie, as well as actor, producer, yes, I really signed up for this, legend himself, Jeremy Dubs. The two have built a bizarre, hilarious, totally unapologetic film that'll make you laugh, cringe, and question your life choices in the best possible way. So, without much further ado, let's welcome in the dynamic duo. Please welcome Brendan and Jeremy. Woo!
Hello.
Hey, guys.
What life choices did it make you question?
we can
movie. I didn't know how powerful we were.
we're gonna get all into that. We're gonna get all into that. But well, first of all, thank you guys for joining.
Our pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Man, I watched the film. I watched Tallywacker, which first amazing.
Thank you.
I got a lot of Clerks vibe, and I mean that in the best possible way. Obviously, it is shot in black and white. It is this kind of like buddy comedy that's raunchy and real. It feels very truthful to this kind of experience. Let's talk a little bit real quick. When you're pitching Tallywacker to someone, when you're explaining it, how do you guys sell this to the general public?
So basically, like you said, it's a rock and roll buddy comedy. It's about a disabled musician. It's kind of loosely based on Jeremy's life. Jeremy is a rock star of great renown in the Western Massachusetts area. So he's kind of a legend out there. So you joke that he's a legend, but he actually kind of is a legend out there. People, I always joke, it's a little bit of a sidetrack, but like whenever we were we were so indie that we would just like set up, or we'd scout our location, and then a pop-up beer garden would happen or something. Like we didn't have any permits or anything like that. We just like, oh, this would be a cool place. And then a few days later. And so then we just like, okay, let's just go film over there. And then so we just start filming in front of someone's business, and we'd be like, I hope they don't get mad. And then they'd come out and say Jeremy, and they'd be like, oh, Jeremy's here. Oh yeah, you're fine. And so it's like, he was the golden ticket to Western Massachusetts. But yeah, so Tallywacker is a rock and roll buddy comedy. It's about two best friends who are in a band called Tallywacker, and they have an opening. They get to open for a bigger act, and then she fires her guitar player that night because she's kind of a loose cannon, and she says, Jeremy, you're on, or not Jeremy, Alistair, the character, you're on stage with me. And basically he goes on tour with her and brings his best friend along as his roadie. So it's really about their relationship, and the strain that it takes when Alistair all of a sudden gets a lot of attention. But yeah, it's a lot of music. We got 12 original songs in it. It's a kind of a indie rock and roll comedy with some heart to it.
Yeah. Jeremy, what about you? How do you sell it to people?
Well, the way I kind of started the whole project, I pitched an idea on social media to my filmmaking friends. I suggested for them to consider writing a character in one of their movies that's a disabled character played by a disabled actor, and so that was kind of like the impetus because Brendan reached out to me, and we met up, and he asked me all kinds of questions about what it's like to be a musician with a disability, and he wrote the whole script about that, or based on that conversation. So yeah, that's kind of how it came together.
That's incredible. Oh man, there's so much to kind of unpack into this because obviously you can feel the authenticity, the love for music. Like that's kind of, where some might say like, oh, this is kind of I don't know, it's like a weird look at like a disabled life, but it's like this feels like a love letter to music, to like
Yeah.
real indie kind of rock and roll, with just kind of a subplot of like a guy who's in a really unique position. Am I putting my finger on it?
Yeah, for sure. Because I think one of the things when we first met about doing the movie, Jeremy and I are both musicians. Jeremy and I have both been in bands for many years, different bands and all that over the years. And the first thing about that is like, it's not just love for music. It's about the relationship of bandmates. Is a very unique relationship. It's sort of like you're sort of family and you're sort of dating, but you're also sort of co-workers. It's a very unique thing being in a band together. And so a lot of my, they say write what you know. So a lot of my stuff is about, two of the four movies I've made have been about bands, and I have another script too that's about a band. But I mean, I think in terms of when we first started talking about making this movie, it was like Jeremy's challenge was really like, I don't see people like me in film. And it didn't mean I don't see people with disabilities. What it meant, you don't see full people that have full lives that are also disabled. And so it was important for us to be like, I really leaned on Jeremy for the authenticity, because it's like, it's not about a disabled person. The disability isn't nothing, but it isn't everything. It's about bandmates and it's about friendships, and the disability is a part of it, but it's not just like Jeremy's life. Disability isn't all of what Jeremy is.
Right.
That's a big part of who his experience, but this whole other part of his experience. And I think disabled folks don't necessarily get that in film as much. They either get, we always kind of said, we're not going to do inspiration porn. He's not going to be an inspirational character. He's going to be a full human being.
Yeah.
Like he's just a guy in a band, and he's a jerk sometimes, and he's a good guy sometimes, and he's selfish, but he's also got a good heart. And you're sort of like, he's a full human being, and and the disability is part of his experience, but it's not all of who he is. So that was really essential, what we wanted to do with Tallywacker, really because we don't see that experience.
Yeah. I will say too that it's a normal thing as the average Joe, as I'm watching a movie, you're whether it's consciously or subconsciously, you're putting characters in boxes, right? Here's the good guy, here's the bad guy, here's the love interest, here's the the quirky friend. And it's really hard to do that with this film. And I mean that positively, in that everybody's good, everybody's bad, everybody's complicated and messy and has highs and lows. And like you said, it's just really a real portrayal of the human condition, the human existence. Jeremy, let me ask you this: when you first kind of really dived into the script of it, what did you think? What was your first reaction, gut feeling when you go through it the first time?
The first time I read it, I was blown away at how accurate Brendan captured the experience of being disabled, and the experiences, playing in venues that are inaccessible, and the relationships between the people, like the dynamics between the characters. I really felt like, just based on that one conversation we had, that he really nailed it. And I was blown away, and yeah. So like, and there were things that we had to talk about, like things that details in there that I would like, be like, I think, for example, there was a scene where my character was written to have to be riding in a car seat or something, and or like a child's seat, and I was like, I'm actually a little bit too big for a car seat. And so things like that. And I think there were some scenes where like people were carrying me, and I was like,
Right. Initially, you're like, yeah, I think I'm bigger than you think I am.
yeah, I was like, I was not exactly you can't exactly just pick me up. Maybe when I was younger, for sure, but yeah, but little things like that.
And I kept trying to pick him up, and he wasn't, he wasn't having it.
Yeah, but other than those little tiny details, it was like super accurate.
And I'd love to kind of get your thoughts on this. There is obviously you get to play a real person, right? You're not just the disabled guy. You're a real person who has goods, bads, quirks, all these things. There are some pretty vulnerable scenes in there. There are, I could, like, I felt uncomfortable, as you're undressing in the photography studio. What was that like? Like, how hard was it to get into that?
I mean, yeah, like I was feeling nervous too. I was probably shaking it a little bit, like a little nervous while I was doing it. But like, it was part of the energy of that scene. Is It's a vulnerable scene anyway, so it's kind of written in a way I could kind of just like be as vulnerable as I wanted to, as I was feeling it. You know what I mean? And yeah, it was an amazing scene to do. And just to mention that, I should feel like I should mention Brendan didn't actually know all the details about, like, for example, the rod sticking out of my leg in that scene. When he wrote the movie, he didn't know that about me. So before we filmed that scene, I had to talk to him about it, like right before we filmed it, and then he kind of quickly rewrote some of the dialogue. So yeah, so it was couldn't be
And
more.
also, we sort of discuss, like, I think it's important that I was sort of like, because he took his shirt off, and I was like, okay, well, you agreed to taking your shirt off. And then when the other stuff, and it was sort of like, I said, look, it's up to you, what we do, because I
Right.
think that the team would have worked with him just having his shirt off. But I said, it's sort of up to you how far we go with this. And he said, if we're gonna do it, let's do it. And I think all the credit goes to him to sort of like, because I think one of the things that Jeremy has done, not just in the movie, but like in life, is champion for visibility for disabled folks. And he has posted pictures of his body, in his social media and things like that, because be like, hey, this is what a body looks like with brittle bone disease. And it's like, don't look away. This is a human body like any other body. And so I think that's what makes that scene really. And I mean, for me, that's a lot of people look at that scene. It's also a fun movie, guys. It's also
Right.
it's also-
One way that I like to look at that scene is that when you think about like all the actors in the world, all the actors and actresses that you've seen on screen, you've probably seen most of them without their clothes on. You know what I mean? And so I felt like I just wanted to be an actor, and I happen to be disabled. So,
Yeah.
but I'm
Right.
doing what every other actor does also.
Yeah, and I was, yes, this is a very light movie. This was just kind of one moment that really stuck with me, and I love the line of dialogue where the female, she was saying, she goes like, "Oh, are you okay with this?" And your character Alistair is like, did you ask the other people? Were they okay with it? And I'm like, that's so poignant. That's so because I can imagine, and from both the inspiration and the writing side of it, that it's a complicated line to walk where you go, okay, I have to be careful and cautious and respectful, but I don't want to treat them like I wouldn't treat anybody else. Like that's a really hard balancing act to do. Um, Brendan, like what were your thoughts? What were your concerns in regards to that going into this?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, again, the main concern was to be truthful, and I really leaned on Jeremy for that. Um, and I know that, so it was less about being careful and more about um, the experience. I know that this show is mostly for, I know the show is mostly for vets and military folks, and I've been around enough military folks to know that like you don't be dark humor is definitely a big part of coping with stuff, and that certainly is true with I've just made a joke about picking Jeremy up. It is certainly like with friendships with folks with disability, it's like humor is part of how we deal with stuff.
Mm.
And yeah, we didn't want to seem disrespectful, but I knew as long as the joke, it wasn't the joke that, haha, isn't it funny you're disabled? A lot of the time it was more like, oh, he was using humor to, and good friend, when you're good friends with someone with a disability, you go back and forth with it. I mean, that is part of that's intimacy.
Yeah.
We're Massachusetts guys. We bust balls. That's how we show love, is that we bust each other's balls. And so we wanted to capture that relationship. So I wasn't, I mean, yeah, maybe some people are going to be not super comfortable with it, but so far so far no disabled people have been uncomfortable with it. And in fact,
Yeah,
every disabled person we've talked to has been like, oh, we love this.
So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Jeremy. Tell me.
Oh no, yeah, I was just gonna see it. Yeah, and I think a good example is that leprechaun scene. When we're singing, where Emmett says, "You're the fucking leprechaun," and like, is that part of being disabled? Is just you just are who you are, And I am a smaller person with red hair. I kind of look like a leprechaun. So I'm totally fine with making a joke about it, And I think that other disabled people are like that too. Like just like everybody else, we have self-deprecating humor, and just life is what it is, and you just make the most of it and have humor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have to say, so I myself am a disabled vet after getting wounded in combat, and I've got pieces of me missing and scars up the yin yang. Uh, and the one thing I was oh, it's great that I get, thank you for your service and this and that. And I'm like, bitch, you don't know what I did. You don't
Right.
just blanket me with everyone else, and the one thing I got, so many things get wrong is that like I'm in a lot of groups of disabled veterans and guys who are in wheelchairs and missing limbs and missing all types of things. We are so mean to each other. We are
Yeah.
so very mean to each other
You
in a
bust
loving
balls.
way. In a
You
loving
bust
way.
balls. Yeah, busting balls is how you show love. Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember I was in military hospital, and we got guys that had the dimples from because their brains got red, and then they had and like we call them ashtray, or the guy with staples across his face is zipper, and like you just that's what we do. That's what we do.
Yeah, dark humor has always been like, I look at humor as sort of a weapon to fight ignorance in some ways. Um, especially juvenile humor. For some
yeah,
reason, it's like that opening scene. Like, we have an opening scene where this religious woman wants to pray with Alistair, and this is not not all religious people are like this, but it's sort of that, Jeremy, that happened to you a lot, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, growing up, constantly there were people that would ask my mother if they could pray over me, or touch me and pray, and like thinking that somehow having a disability makes you closer, I guess, closer to death, and which equals closer to God to them. So they,
Them,
yeah.
yeah, and them not like them with good intentions, maybe let's say with good intentions, not realizing how dehumanizing that is,
Right.
and
Exactly.
not realizing how that is really othering him, as in you're not treating him like a human being. So in the first scene of the movie, we have that happen, and Alistair responds with a boner joke, and like to me, it's just sort of like humor, dark humor, juvenile humor is a great way of coping with ignorance and with pain and with all these things, and yeah, so the movie is full of that. So if
Yeah,
that's not your cup of tea, you probably shouldn't rent it.
absolutely.
but
No,
if you're nodding your head and going, yeah, I get down with that, then Tallywacker is probably for you.
oh my God, all the military vets out there would or love it. It's not enough. You gotta go, you should have. But no, I can imagine, this idea of, oh, let me pray for you. When like, there's nothing wrong with me, right? This is
Right.
the way
Right.
I am. You're not gonna pray me better. You're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
gonna,
yeah. There's this whole sense of like, yeah, overcoming your disability or something, or yeah,
right.
like gonna somehow get up and walk out of my wheelchair. No, it's never gonna happen.
I woke up 6 feet tall. It's a miracle. So Jeremy, when you're directing a comedy that leans kind of
Or Brendan,
pretty
yeah.
into the absurd, I'm sorry, did I say Jeremy? I meant Brendan. Oh my God,
Yeah, yeah, no worries.
I don't. Two of y'all. It's making it hard for me.
Yeah, well,
I was infantry. I'm not very smart.
yeah, there you go.
Brendan, when directing comedy that leans into this kind of absurdity, like, how do you determine where that line is between like, oh, this is a bold choice versus, oh shit, we went too far? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I don't know that you do. I mean, I think that again, the line is always: is this grounded in? Does this feel real? Does this feel true? Is it would this character say this? And if the only time for me, if it's too far, is if it's not funny. I mean, I do believe that sort of, or that it's interesting because I don't think we can look at that. This again, this is up for other people to decide. But again, like we said, I don't disabled people aren't going to be like, well, this is offensive to disabled, because I don't think it is. It's not. But if you, I think you've just got to kind of go by your gut and your instinct. And again, I leaned on Jeremy. I think one time, Jeremy, I think a scene where he's scooting across the ground saying, "Please help me." I think at that moment I go, "Is this okay, man?" and Jeremy goes, "Oh, you mean like in terms of content?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, it's funny, it's good." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right."
Exactly. Yeah, and I crawl around on the ground all the time. That's very real. That was
Yeah.
yeah.
So I guess the short answer is I guess I don't think about it, and not in a way that is to me. I'm not like, oh well, screw what people think. I do what I want, because I do think you should. I do think you should think about the impact of what you're doing. I don't think it's a hard lift to think about the impact of like, hey, is this going to make people feel bad in a way I don't want them to feel bad? Then maybe I shouldn't do it. That's not that hard for me.
Yeah.
And I think you can. To me, it's like, is this truthful in the character? And ultimately, I think with the characters, like you said, none of this comes from a place of hatred. I think there is a kindness in all of these characters, even when they're busting each other's balls, especially when they're busting each other's balls. Kind of like what you talked about, with at the hospital, is the reason why it's cool is because there's the given that you all respect and love each other.
Right.
If I came in and started calling someone zipper and they don't know who the fuck I am, different story, right?
Yeah, it's not
So
going to go well.
it's right, exactly. So it's all about who's saying it.
Mm.
That's the important thing, is who's saying it and where's it coming from.
Yeah. I got to ask you, Jeremy, there's so many like laugh out loud scenes. There's so many, the busting the balls and the going back and forth and moments of like, wait, are they about to get into a fist fight or are they going to make out? I mean, I don't know what's happening. So I'm curious, what was maybe like the hardest scene to film without like messing up a take or breaking?
Oh, like in terms of like laughing.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of what scene that might have been. A lot of the
I was
bands,
right off.
yeah.
I was right off camera with a gun, so they weren't gonna laugh. So
No.
you know.
But yeah, I mean, so many scenes like end with laughter in the movie, which I love. So all of those scenes where Chris and I, Emmett and Alistair, are just going at it with yelling at each other. I would say those were the scenes where where it was hard to like not laugh too much. Like when we're just screaming at each other, go fuck your fucking hi hat and all that stuff. But it was really fun to do. I think I learned a lot. I never done comedy before, and for me it was learning that the more serious you are, or, because you are, if you're playing somebody who is experiencing this in the moment. So I don't you know I don't you have to realize that as an actor you're in the scene, and so you have to be serious about it, and is funny to people seeing you experience that. That's what's funny. So it was a learning experience for sure.
Mm,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, this was his first movie. He did an amazing job. I mean,
Yeah.
I was
Phenomenal.
so impressed that because I think what Jeremy was very easy to direct, and I think what made him easy to direct was he just trusted me, and I think I just said every once in a while I'd be like, Jeremy, you're kind of acting right now.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, okay. And then that meant it didn't feel real. And I'm just like, how would you say that? And then he would just do it. I'd be like, right, that's it. And acting in a lot of ways is sort of just getting stuff out of the way and getting access to our real selves. And he did an amazing job at that. And you'll see when you watch the movie America
And you did an
and the
amazing
World.
job directing. You did an amazing
Oh
job.
well, and CQ, you're doing an amazing job.
I was gonna say, I feel left out all of a sudden, man. I want to be told I'm doing good. There's a great comment in the chat too that says that would make a great merch shirt that says "Go fuck your fucking hi hat." Like would make a
Yeah,
great,
we should do that. Yeah.
great
Love it.
shirt for
Speaking of
marketing.
merch, we do have Tallywacker T-shirt that I'm wearing right now. We have the first of the Tallywacker tour. So Tallywacker is going on tour as a band, and this Saturday, December 13th in Los Angeles, Tallywacker is playing, and we will have Tallywacker T-shirts there for you to buy. So if you're in LA, come to Burbank. Roguelike Tavern, December 13th.
Yes, and that's great.
Sorry, I'm a natural born.
No, that's a great segue. Actually, perfect segue. The music you talked about that there's, what was it, 12 original songs. There were some scenes where that they're feeling out the song, or they're kind of just messing around, and I was wondering, or it was a whole, it's supposed to be a whole song or a whole set, but obviously because of directing, you edit out certain parts. I was wondering how many of the songs are like fully complete start to finish that you edited around versus we're only going to see it for this scene, so we only need this much of it.
So almost all of them are fully done, and they're available on Bandcamp too. If you go to Tallywacker, what is it? Oh, I gotta look it up. Sorry. Tallywacker.
I forget the exact link.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
We'll fix it in post. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll fix it. So yeah, Tallywacker Music maybe. Yeah, tallywackermusic.bandcamp.com. Sorry about that. I should have had that on the ready. Very unprofessional. So you can actually go listen to the songs. There was only one that was a half-written song, which was during a sound check, and it gets interrupted. And I really regret. We should have just finished that song for a soundtrack. But I only wrote half the song because I'm like, all right, I only need half the song, so that's it. But yeah, all of them are available up on the Bandcamp, and you can hear them.
Yeah, and it really is good, and some of them they're not good, but it from the story perspective, it's like it's supposed to be not good, so they're really good at not being good on purpose. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
They're a silly band, and they don't necessarily take themselves too seriously.
Right.
So some of their songs are kind of just fun, silly songs. But
I love it. I love it. Now I know, from speaking with other directors and indies, especially, that given time constraints, given, budget restraints, there's not a lot of room for improv, right? It's a lot of hit the lines, we gotta go. Were there any kind of surprise improvised moments that kind of were like, oh, this is just too good to cut out? Did anything like that make it into the film?
Yeah, there are a few. Some of my favorite lines um, are just the guys just being, I think that there was a little. So my sort of philosophy is get me one that I like, and then you guys can have some fun, right? And there's this really funny moment that I kept in the movie where Carly Major, the rock star, comes out and they're smoking weed, and she comes out and basically invites him on tour, and then walks away, and then Chris just says, "She took my bowl." That was completely improvised.
That's right. Yeah,
Because
and you kept that in there.
because the actor Rivera just walked away with it, and so he just said, "She took my bowl." This rock star came in. So imagine Courtney Love coming out, smoking weed with you, inviting you on tour, and then taking your weed bowl with her. So that was I kept that in, and there are a few little moments like that.
Nice.
I think at one point when Carly Major's on stage, and I don't want to give away too much, but like basically she's mad at Alistair, and and she said something funny. Anyway, so there was some improv in there. So, but yeah, it was tight, but we wanted to have some room for them to live in the world together, and sort
Sure.
of feel in the characters.
Yeah, and Jeremy, you and the character Emmett, you really shared a lot of scenes, and there definitely felt like a real brotherhood. I know we're acting. These are actors. We're doing acting, but it did feel like you guys had a chemistry, that you had a friendship. What was that experience like working with him?
Thanks. Yeah. Well, I actually didn't know him that well, or I had met him through Brendan, so I didn't know him that well before we filmed the movie. But we had spent time together practicing. Chris would drive out to where I live, and we'd practice the songs from the movie and get to know each other and hang out. So I feel like we just sort of um, developed this organic friendship between the two of us already. So, and then we started becoming an actual band, just by practicing the songs together. And that you immediately form a connection with someone when you start learning songs together. And Chris carries my equipment, which is, because I can't carry my own equipment. And so, there's some sort of dynamics that Emmett and Alistair go through. Chris and I sort of started to go through together, just getting to know each other.
Mm. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
great point. What, Brendan, for you, what was kind of maybe the biggest surprise during production, right? Yeah, issues with that. Oh, I don't want to say issues with actors. That sounds terrible. Things that come up with actors, weather, wardrobe malfunction. Like, what was kind of the biggest gotcha during production for this?
There weren't really very many of those. We got very lucky, and also we surrounded ourselves with really good people. I'm a big believer in um, the way people feel on set translates into what happens on screen. So I was almost more concerned that everybody was happy making the film than that the film turned out good. And So it was an absolute joy. Every single person on that set was amazing. And as far as like surprises, I thought you're gonna, the biggest surprise was exactly what you're talking about, is how I cast these two guys, and then I appear on, and they're a band, they're friends, and it's like they're still friends, and they're still a band, and they're like, but it was just like their connection, and like you couldn't. I just got so fortunate that these two got, because everyone talks about the chemistry between them, and I just got so fortunate that these two just bonded like that, and it was amazing, and it was just like that carries the movie, and I didn't have to do much. I did a lot.
Say you're selling yourself short.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I kind of wanted to bust your balls and just say, like, what was the
Yeah.
auditioning process like, for this character? But I feel like not necessarily nepotism, but I feel like you were kind of a shoo-in for this, huh?
I guess so. I don't know who else could have played this part exactly. It's hard to find somebody. I don't know, but yeah. But to be honest, though, like, yeah, I mean, although I didn't have to audition, Brendan didn't know how good of an actor I would be, and I didn't know how good of an actor I would be. Only doing a few things before this. So it wasn't really until we were shooting the first day that we knew exactly if it was going to click or not. And Brendan, he kind of gave us the hardest scene to do first, with the scene between, I won't say much, but there's a intense scene between Emmett and Alistair outside.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first scenes we shot, and that's when we kind of knew that it was going to work. It was going to work, and we were going to be able to make the movie.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's a gamble, man. You're a gambling
Yeah.
man.
I said,
people,
well, I
people had
said,
already paid money. Sorry, people had already paid money, to donating for the crowdfunding of the movie. So
yeah,
we had,
the investors and all that. So I'm like, oh, well, let's see.
yeah, we would have let a lot of people down. So I'm
Yeah,
glad we
yeah.
would let those people down.
I tried to say to Jeremy, like, this is his first feature film, and I was like, yeah, not everybody's gonna write something based on your life, man.
I know, yeah, exactly, yeah, once in a lifetime opportunity for sure.
Yeah, but no, maybe I don't know if someone else has got something that they want Jeremy to, when they want to write based on Jeremy's life. He's done other stuff.
That's
You actually, yeah, you're he's in city governments now, so like that, there you go. There's a movie.
Yeah, I'm a city councilor in the town in Northampton where I live. Yeah.
Wow, that movie writes itself right there. I'm sure there's
Exactly, right.
a lot of comedy in city councilman.
Oh, for sure.
What do you hope that as an audience person who just comes across it or has recommended it, when they walk away from this film, like, what are you hoping is the message that they take away, other than I need a shower after that? But what is the message that you're hoping they take away from this?
I don't know. For me, honestly, it's going to sound really like filmy and pretentious. I try not to think about that. Like once the film is out in the world, I do try to be like, it's there. It's the audience's now. It's not mine anymore. I don't have any control over what the impact is of it. I hope. Well, first of all, I just hope people laugh, and I hope people rock out to the songs, and because I think that is important. Spending 90 minutes of having fun and connecting with these characters, and that they feel real, and especially a character like Alistair, who maybe you haven't seen before, and recognize like, oh, that's just a guy. That's just a guy in a band, so that like you have the experience of just spending time and kind of feeling like these people. I think that's what Roger Ebert said. Film is a machine that generates empathy, right? And so I think like what the experience of watching a film is for me is to look at a different point of view, but in an experiential way, not in a lectury way. Just in sort of like, oh, here's a life I hadn't considered before, or part of life I hadn't considered before. But mostly I want people to laugh and have a good time and dig the music. I don't know. What do you think, Jeremy? Do you have anything important that you want people to
I guess like
take from it?
I guess I hope that people sort of relate to Alistair as a character, and what he goes through, and not necessarily just about it's not just focused on his disability, and so just getting to know him as a person. I feel like one of the goals I feel is to normalize, talking about disability, and learning about disability, the life experience of people who are disabled, normalized in a way that it's not a big deal to talk about it. It's just a thing that, and Alistair just happens to be disabled, but he's also in a band, and he likes, he wants to hook up with a girl at some point in his life, and those are his goals, you know what I mean? And so, people can relate to that, and also he has a lot of fun, and disabled people have a lot of fun, it's not all just, we're not just, I feel like a lot of disabled characters in other films, it's about either wanting sympathy or, inspiration porn type stuff, this is just about a guy who's not necessarily inspiring. So he does some things that are not great. He doesn't treat people well all the time, and so just those little things, people can relate to those experiences, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's so true. I mean, it's again, we can't kind of keep beating it, but he's this fully realized human being who is going to be angry and is going to do good and is going to do bad and is, gonna play the sympathy card, right? I'm disabled. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is. It's not. It's so not like you said the inspiration porn, and because I all the time we joke with my disabled military friends, or we're like, where's our representation? Where are the disabled assholes? Like
Yeah.
where's our
exactly.
representation, man? Because
Hell yeah. Yeah.
most of the disabled people I know are assholes, but that's just the people I hang out with. But
Yeah, that's true. I think that's mostly a you thing.
that's
Yeah.
I attract it. I do. I do.
Yeah.
What does it say about you, though? No. Did we kind of touched on this a little bit in the praying for the boners, but did any kind of real life experiences kind of just work their way into the script as far as wanting to share?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the realist thing is the scene we did already talk about. We touched on a little bit the scene with the rod. That was a very real scene for me because I had actually. I feel like it's important to mention this because like we were talking about being seen and how a lot of this is just about being visible as a disabled person, and my family members had no idea that that was going on, and they didn't know that I had a medical issue like that, and my parents passed away a few years ago. They had no idea, you know what I mean? And so that dialogue about I didn't want to worry my mom. That's all very real. That couldn't be more real. So yeah, and one of the reasons we decided to ultimately put that in the movie is because it's like something that moviegoers have never seen before. Something that real. You know what I mean? On the big screen.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's incredible. And again, not to say inspiring, but a brave and vulnerable thing to do. I commend you because that couldn't have been easy.
Thank
Um,
you.
with shooting an independent film, you know, they live and die by creative problem solving.
Mhm.
I'm curious, Brendan, what was your most like, we've got $12 in a dream moment,
Oh yeah.
like what
Well,
was it?
so I mean, the beautiful thing about being the writer and director and producer is that you can just write your way out of any problem. So like one of the scenes there's a joke there's a shit joke
Oh yeah.
that happens in a van when they're talking. I don't want to ruin it. So, but when I originally wrote that scene, it took place in a bathroom, and so the shit joke made sense
Mm.
because they were talking about doing an upper decker. I don't know if you know what an upper decker
Oh
is.
yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about doing an upper decker, and so it was a joke about that. And so when we got to the set and we rented a hotel, and the bathroom is way too small to shoot in. And so it's like, all right, well, we'll just put that in, we'll just move that to the van. So they have that, because it's just like where the conversation takes place. And so I just moved it to the van and I rewrote the pages. And Amanda, our DP, goes, "You kept the shit joke in?" I was like, well, I changed it a little, but it's important to have a shit joke in that scene. Especially after it comes right after a really dramatic scene. So it's important to have, but like there's a whole lot of like, a lot. So there's a big van in it, and the band. It's a road trip movie, really. And shooting dialogue while moving in a van is very challenging, because of sound and all this stuff, and where to put the cameras. And so I remember, Amanda, our DP, asked me, she's like, okay, so for this moving, they're moving during this. So I think I would mount this camera here and do this here, this here. And I go, oh, give me a second. And I just wrote, "They park." And she goes, "Oh, so I can stand outside the window with a camera." I'm like, "Yes, you sure can." you know. So writing was always the I think when you make an independent film, you can't be too precious about any vision or anything like that. And with this kind of movie, especially, it's about the characters, it's about the dialogue, and it's about the jokes. And so whether they happened in a moving van or not was not going to make a difference. If I had the budget, they'd be in a moving van. But
Yeah.
we'll have them park, and the camera can stand outside the window.
I love that. That is so good.
Yeah.
Obviously you two have worked together for this. You've built a rapport for this. You've developed it together basically. You've spent enough time together now that I think this would be a really great this is like your couples counseling question. So what's one thing about the other person that they do brilliantly And what's the one thing that absolutely drives you nuts? Floor is yours.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, I have to think.
Jeremy, I think you should go first. You want me to go first, or you should go first?
Well, yeah, well, you go first. Yeah, you go first.
Well, the first thing is he always makes you go first. No. So I think, you know, Jeremy is incredibly gifted at, especially as an actor. Jeremy is incredibly gifted at access to his real self. A lot of actors are sort of they've, especially like if you've trained a lot or you worked a lot, you develop these sort of like techniques and tools and all that. Jeremy's really good at being vulnerable, and I think like to me, my favorite acting performances are the most vulnerable, real ones where it doesn't feel like acting, right? So as far as performance wise, that is what Jeremy I think is amazing. As far as a human being, Jeremy is just the most easygoing, easy to like person that I have met in a long time. He's like, everybody loves Jeremy when they meet him.
Oh,
You know, he is just like one of these people that just he's very, you know, and I think maybe it's because he had to be so good at disarming people because of the disability and stuff like that, is like make them feel comfortable. Jeremy's just very good at disarming people and making them feel comfortable. So I think that's his greatest strength as a person, or the thing I really think he's a genius at. And then what is a thing that drives
what
me
he
crazy?
drives you nuts? The
I
thing
feel
that
like I
most
already know
drives
what
you
it
nuts.
is, but you go.
So sometimes he can be not the greatest communicator in the world. Sometimes he can if he thinks you're gonna be mad, he'll sometimes not tell you, and then you find out later, and it makes you more mad. What did you think I was gonna say?
That's basically what I thought you were going to say. Yeah, yeah. You know, like I didn't tell you about the Rod situation until the day of the filming.
There were a few things you didn't tell me until it was the last minute. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah,
But it was because you didn't want to upset me, and I think that was like a good quality. But
but yeah, yeah.
it did drive me a little nuts. I was like, you just gotta tell me, so I gotta know about the problem so I can solve the problem.
Man time.
Yeah, I would say Brendan is brilliant at understanding the human experience and human connections, relationships between people, and psychologically, like what's going on in the scenes, between people. I think it's just so amazing. We really when we met and talked about the writing of this movie before he actually wrote it, we only hung out for, I don't know, 2 hours maybe, and and then he wrote this entire film, which it truly does capture like the experience that that I've had in life. It's very, very real, very authentic. And so I think that Brendan has an understanding of people that a very deep understanding that I think is not a lot of people have. And so I felt very, very privileged to be working with him. So thank you, Brendan.
Oh,
And
thank you, buddy.
and
Now here it comes.
and he, how could I feel any more seen than by Brent? Like, you've made me feel more seen than anybody that I know. Like,
Oh, that's beautiful.
so
Thank you.
of course, yeah.
I'm very moved. I'm very moved. Thank you.
And now drop the hammer. No, what's the
here comes it.
I think the hardest thing is not necessarily about Brendan personally, but like, you're a film guy, and I'm more or I had never done film before, and film people are very like, let's do this. We're gonna do this now. And like, oh, we got something to do. Let's work on this. Let's schedule this thing now. And I'm more of like, I'm a musician who takes my time with things, and
Yeah,
like,
you can say that.
so I'm not always in a hurry, to do things. And so somebody says that you should work on booking this show or something, and I'll say, okay, yeah, I'll get to that, and then. But Brendan's like, and then the next day, Brendan's like, did you book that show? And I'm like, no, I didn't do that yet. So I feel like for me, it's been an adjustment, but I like it. It's a challenge that I enjoy because, I want to be a film person too. So I'm learning how to do that. So yeah.
Outstanding.
I'll
Great
take it.
answers.
I'll take it.
Great answers. Oh my God, we're already out of time. We'll leave it with this, and I think it's the most in line with kind of our discussion. But if Tallywacker had a theme song, what would it be? Give us a glimpse what the theme song for Tallywacker
Well,
might be.
Tallywacker does have a theme song. It's called Tallywacker the song.
That is true. That's fair. I didn't think about that, but there is a Tallywacker song in the
it's at
film.
the beginning and the end of the movie. Yeah.
That is a fair point. Speaking of which, I've definitely got to get. Are you guys doing physical media for this? Are we gonna get CDs? Are there discs?
You can order DVDs of the movie. We don't have CDs of everything digital for the music. We don't have, but you can. So the movie is available on demand. Basically, anywhere you rent movies, you can get it. And if you do want a physical DVD, you can order it on Amazon or direct from the. But if you go all to if you follow our social media, Tallywacker Film, you can get all the info on how to do that.
Yeah. So the final thing then would be, do you guys have a social media presence? I know we kind of already said you did, but please plug your social media handles. Where can people find you? Where can people follow your work? What have you got coming up that you want to tease? Any of that stuff? Go ahead.
Yeah, Tallywacker Film at Tallywacker Film on Instagram and Facebook. And as far, we're sort of the cool part about this is the band is in the movie and the band is going on tour, and it's starting in LA in next weekend, the 13th. But we're going to be in New York, we're going to be in Boston, we're going to be in Western Mass, and if you want Tallywacker to come to your city, I will make them get in the van and go while I sit here in my comfortable Southern California home in the nice weather. But keep the cool thing about this is like Tallywacker exists outside the movie, and so you can listen to the band, see the band, and watch the movie.
Yeah, Chris and I just had practice the other day, and it went well. So yeah, we're working hard, and we actually wrote something together for the first time. It's going to be a surprise for you, Brendan, at the show.
I can't wait.
Oh
Yeah,
God. Oh God, that always goes well. There's surprises in the movie. It goes so well.
I love being surprised. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm based out of the DC area, so if you guys ever come through here, I want to be front row and center and screaming Tallywacker.
We love it. Love DC. My parents met in DC, so yeah, we'd love to.
Oh wow.
There you go. Brendan, I'm sorry, Jeremy. I keep getting you guys mixed up. Jeremy, for you, any social media, what you want to plug? Let people know where to check you out.
Well, I'm in a band called Bunnies. Bunnies Are a Band is our Instagram handle. And we play shows quite often. We had a new album that we put out recently. In terms of film work, I just got my first script actually from somebody who wrote a role that they thought I might be good for. But that's still way off in the future. So I don't know. But yeah. So hoping to do more acting and continuing to play music. Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to the both of you. You guys are both incredible. I'm super excited to see what comes next for Tallywacker, for Jeremy, for Brendan, what you got coming up. You guys are friends of the show. You're welcome back anytime you want to promote anything.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And
Thanks
let us
so much.
let us
Appreciate
know
it.
when you're performing in the DC area. We'll come out in force and
We'll do it. That'll be
check
awesome.
it out. Guys, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to toss to a break. I'm going to go say goodbye to my guest. We'll be back with more show right after this. I'll give you guys a quick second to say goodbye to the audience.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Enjoy the film.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hey, you there? Yeah, it is right, you. Let me ask you something, right? Where the hell do you think that you're going? Oh, would you think because the show's going to commercial that means you get to just walk away? Well, CQ asked me to pass on the little message, alright? And it says, I'll be back.
heroes rise and take the fight. There's a voice that breaks the night. It's CQ at the insight. From the comics to the silver screens, talking legends and those crazy scenes. Pop culture, dreams and hidden themes. CQ reveals what it all means. From the comics to the silver screens, talking legends and those crazy scenes. Pop culture, dreams and hidden themes. CQ reveals what it all means. Pop culture warrior here to ignite, guiding through the tales of light. With CQ leading the charge so bright, we're ready for another flight. Pop culture warrior here to ignite.
Here's Johnny. Hey, everybody, welcome back. That was such a blast. Those guys are awesome. Jeremy Dubs, musician, actor extraordinaire, and director Brendan Boogie. What a cool name, man. I'm jealous. I wish I had a cool name like that. Brendan Boogie. He gets down. We were talking about the film Tallywacker. Highly encourage you, if sorry, I'm reading you guys' comments. If you enjoy a good, it's not even like a dark humor. Again, the closest I can put my finger on it is it reminds me so much of like Clerks, the original Clerks, and more than just because of the black and white aesthetic. It's just this very relatable, real, down to earth kind of like, this is life, right? These are fully formed people who have lives, and lot of funny moments, a lot of good music. I like, we didn't really dive into it too much, but you can feel the difference of like music that was made by people that understand music for a movie versus like, you know, somebody who's just like grabs some songs and puts it in a playlist for a movie. Like, it definitely, the music felt part of the movie. It's hard to explain. You gotta just, you see it and watch it. Available where videos on demand are for you, whether it's Amazon or other places. Huge shout out to those guys. They're super awesome. And if they ever do come through the area, I will absolutely show up. Captain Wayne, you're funny. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is everything we have for you tonight on Pop Culture Warrior. I will say, let me check my calendar. We've got 2 shows left for this year. For the calendar year 2025, there are only 2 Pop Culture Warriors remaining. The next 2 shows, I've been promising it for a long time, and we're gonna commit, and we're gonna follow through. The next 2 shows will be giveaway shows. We will be giving away everything that I have collected and amassed for the last year that is sitting in a ginormous pile. I wish I could turn the camera so you could just see the pile of shit that is stacked. I've got some helpers that are going to help me. Originally, I was going to do it in a way that was like, this is the New York Comic-Con prize pack, and this is the San Diego Comic-Con prize pack, and kind of thing. And then I was like, I felt like it wouldn't be, like, some might have more cool shit than others. And so in conferring with some people close to me, it was decided that we're basically going to just put everything into like one pile and then try to divide it as evenly as possible so that everybody gets really cool shit and other. So it is my goal that every box will have something like super cool in it, like a really cool, unique item, and then just you know, stickers and all the random swag shit you pick up throughout the year. But at the very minimal least, there'll be one really cool item or an autographed item. I might, pull some stuff from my private collection of some autographed things. Maybe an Alex Ross signed print, maybe a Stan Lee signed comic book. Who knows? Tune in to find out. So if all goes well, here's my plan. You guys that are watching right now are getting the inside scoop. The plan is there will be a social media post on every major social media platform: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I might feel like I'm missing one. Maybe TikTok. I don't want to do a video, but I might have to do a TikTok. But all the major ones. If you like and share kind of thing, you will be entered to win in that platform for that running. So basically, if you do it for all the platforms, then you have more chances to win, kind of thing. Between now and next Tuesday, that will be one round. We'll also just pick a random live winner too, like just somebody watching live is going to get a prize package as well. So more chances to win. And the Patreon, they're going to get their own chances to win as well. So there'll be a Patreon exclusive giveaway package, which might be valued a little higher because, let's be honest, they're the ones that are like helping make this show what it is, financially, not like emotionally. Just speaking financially. The Patreons do subscribe, and so the Patreon prize package might be just a little bit better. But yeah, so more chances to win. So between now and let's say tomorrow, my goal is tomorrow. I'm going to post these things out tomorrow, so that way you have a full week to like and share. And I'll pick one winner from each platform live next Tuesday to win a prize package, and they'll just get added to a list and get a package out. Who knows? I might even make a video of like what every box has. You're not going to know which box you're going to get, but all those boxes go out. Oh, we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll do it live. I don't know. But yeah, so my goal is to put those out tomorrow, so they have a full week, like and share, follow, whatever. And we'll pick those winners live. Then we'll do it again because I want to do it back-to-back weeks. That's how much stuff I have. We'll do the same thing again for the following week. So starting next Wednesday, I'll post out again a whole new version, and we'll go week, pick winners from each platform. Maybe more. I might have enough boxes that it might be more than one winner from each platform. Maybe it's like 2 winners from each platform. I don't know. It just depends on how many things we have, how many boxes we kind of, or groups we kind of section everything off into. All right, let me ask you this. Would you rather more stuff in a box, but that means less winners? Or would you rather a little bit less stuff in a box, but that means more winners? Higher chances to win or better stuff when you win? I mean, it's kind of how it flips. So go ahead in the chats. I don't know, first 3 people to answer, that'll be the deciding vote. Either we're going to have more winners or better prizes, I guess is how you would say it. Stuff for more people. Okay, so first vote is for more winners, basically. So less stuff per box, more winners. Spread the love. I guess you're going for more winners. Okay, there you go. It's a clear victory. It's a runaway victory. So that's what we'll do. Smaller prize packages. Still, it's got to be like 4 or 5 items. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be like, have you seen this fucking Target Black Friday thing? It's fucking hysterical. Where they were basically like, first 100 people in line get this swag bag full of stuff. And it was this like plastic bag. It had a pack of Uno cards, a little hydration powder package, like an individual hydration. It had like a blush, a makeup blush, and like not even a pack of candy, like a single individual wrapped candy. Uh and that's what people stood in line for like hours for. So yeah, it won't be that. It won't be that bad. The Target shit was for the fucking birds, yes. So only Anubis said quality over quantity. So he was the only voting member for better prizes, less winners. So the more winners have it. I think we have plenty enough stuff that I could probably do. Let's see, realistically, if I do Facebook, I'm literally doing this in real time. You're seeing my thought process in real time. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It would be hard to do on YouTube unless if you comment on a video. I don't know. I'd have to figure the YouTube one out. What am I missing? Yeah, I mean, it could be TikTok, I guess, maybe TikTok. So still, if I do 2 winners per, that's like 8 plus a live winner plus a Patreon winner. That's 10. And then I have to do that twice. So that's like 20 prize packages. I think we got enough. Yeah. If I have to pull from my own private stash, I pull from my own. That's like 10 winners between now and next week, and then 10 winners between next week and the following week. What the fuck? Why not, right? We're doing it big here at Pop Culture Warrior Studios, WTF Nation Radio. Also, on top of all those chances to win, this week is FTX, and it's probably the last FTX because the next one would be like right on Christmas time. So it'll be the last FTX of the year. We're going to do giveaways on FTX as well. Possibly multiple. I don't have a way to kind of do like the platform thing like we do on for Pop Culture Warrior. So it might just be if you watch live. Sorry, watch live on this coming Friday, FTX, Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll probably do 3, maybe 4 giveaways. I've got some games that I'm willing to send out to you. So tune in, and I don't even know how we're going to pick winners. We might just be like, hey, that's a funny comment. They're a winner. Wear the Doom helmet with the Santa hat. I don't know, man. I put on the Magneto one for the one Halloween, and I was sweating bullets in like 5 minutes, and that's pretty open. The Magneto, the Doom one, I'd fucking die. I'd pass out before I could give anything away. But we have a ton of games to give away and prizes, and yeah, a bunch of stuff. So, time to start clearing out this office, this studio. I think that's it. So yeah, giveaway stuff. FTX on Friday. Obviously, of all of our shows, we've got new shows coming to WTF Nation Radio. I think we've already officially announced it, but Trailhead Ops is coming for all those people that are into like the hiking, camping, fishing, outdoorsy shit that I'm just not into anymore since I packed up my infantry boots. All the outdoorsy shit. Trailhead Ops is going to be the show for you. We have the next one coming out after that is The Reset. The Reset will be a mental health show hosted by Dr. J, who's a board certified medical professional and is a veteran herself. And she's, I think the idea is going to be like Saturday noon-ish Eastern. We're still figuring that out. But it's just going to be kind of just a mental health check-in, and people can ask questions. She can give advice. she's going to talk about, resources and all that. I think it's really important, especially in the day and age we live in, where mental health is so important, so very important. And so the reset will be your weekly mental reset into living your best life. So look forward to that. And then we have a third show that is currently in the early stages of development, that I'm very, very, very excited for. I'm not going to say a lot about it yet, just because there's still some moving parts and naming and logo design and a bunch of other things, but should be starting sometime in the next quarter, because Trailhead Ops and the reset will be out in the next month or two, and then probably in the next quarter we'll have the third show coming, and then there's more shows in development on the back burner that we're doing. So ton more programming coming to WTF Nation Radio. If you want to be a part of the station, we're always looking for more people to help out in creative ways. Doesn't always mean front facing, camera facing. If you have editing skills, if you have photography skills, if you just have a passion, if you have zero skills and you just want to be a part of the team and you want to help out however you can, we could use all the bodies we can get. We'll find a place for you. We'll find something that works for your skill set, or we'll train you on what it is. In fact, if you come with less bad habits, it's even better. We can train you the right way. But anyway, very excited for what's coming. Captain Wayne says, I spread out the little I have for anyone, but even though I don't have much, this time of year seriously matters. Yes. Absolutely. What was I going to say? Shows, giveaways, ton of great stuff coming next year. I'll take Angry Elf spot. You're more than welcome, man. Bring it. The more the merrier. Like I said, there's more than enough space for everyone. Whether you want to be in front of the camera or behind it, we could use you. Games. I got a ton of games coming out of PAX Unplugged, so we won't be repeating a game probably for like the next 8 months on FTX, because we got so many games, and they're all awesome. They're all like good games. Anything else? I think that's everything. Yeah. Join our Discord. If you're not on our Discord, join our Discord. We have fun conversations over there. You can talk to the host and talk to the staff between shows. If you have ideas or questions, Discord's awesome for that. It's a way to reach us outside of our social media pages. Like and share and follow and do all the things that you do. Better than Hello Kitty? I don't know, man. Hello Kitty Day at the Park is still up there. We still talk about it. Believe it or not, we still talk about it. While we were at PAX Unplugged, we talked about it a little bit. So yeah, Hello Kitty, that's one that's going to stay firmly entrenched in our memory for quite a while. Kind of like PTSD, you know? All right, folks. Thank you guys for hanging out. I love you all. I appreciate you. I don't think I've ever seen you guys do a EDH magic game. EDH magic game. You're talking about like Magic the Gathering? Or are you talking about something else? I don't know what EDH magic. I don't know. I'll look into it. We are looking at doing Magic the Gathering, I don't want to say a version of it. They're coming out with this special version of Magic the Gathering. It's Magic the Gathering, regular cards, but it's a cooperative team up of players versus the deck. It's the best way I can describe it. So we're going to be getting that. I think that comes out in February or March, sometime in there. But it's this really cool new product that they're like trying out, where it's instead of one-on-one, it's you and your friends versus the deck, versus a bad guy deck, basically. Very interesting. I'm excited to try it. And I thought it was a really cool way to kind of get these guys. Some of our guys aren't exactly Magic the Gathering kind of guys, but it'd be a fun kind of way to kind of bring them in, and you're working together to defeat the common enemy. So we'll be doing that as well. But all right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Appreciate y'all beyond words. Keep an eye on Pop Culture Warriors social media tomorrow. Because if I am a man of my word, which I'd like to believe that I am, we'll have some ways to win starting tomorrow. Commanding Magic the Gathering. EDH was the original words besides command. Ah, gotcha. So there was commander before commander. Got it. Yeah, we can't. You if you've watched FTX, you know those guys aren't into like the deep. We're getting there. I'm slowly building them. I do have one game that's gonna be like Dungeons and Dragons, but like a super trimmed down light version. Where I have to dip. They have to dip their toe in. I'm slowly bringing them around to more of like the big campaign games. We started very soft, very friendly, and little by little, I'm inching these guys closer to, you know, a full-on like D&D, Warhammer 40K, BattleTech, you know, kind of gameplay. So maybe we'll get to Commander, Magic the Gathering sooner than later. But yeah, little by little, we're getting there. All right, folks, we will see you next week. Have your addresses ready, because much like Ellen, or Ellen? No. Well, Ellen did the 12 days of giveaways. What was it? Oprah. You get a prize, and you get a prize, you get a prize. Blah, blah, blah. All right, guys. See you next week. Shut.
Let's see it.